All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, what I'm going to discuss is investing in the next big thing. When you go online and you look at financial media, including myself, so you're going to look at other YouTube channels, you're going to look at sites like Seeking Alpha, Yahoo Finance, CNBC, Bloomberg, Guru Focus, Zacks, so on and so forth, right? So you're going to look at financial media. You're going to look at what is this person investing in, what sector, what's going to be the next big thing. And I think it boils down to many people look at the stock market oftentimes, and they look at a stock market ticker symbol as a lottery ticket. So you'll find many people looking to find the next Amazon, the next Tesla, the next Netflix. They're not necessarily looking to own Kroger or Costco or Albertsons or Procter and Gamble or Johnson and Johnson, these sort of slower growing dividend payers where you're not going to get rich quick, but you're going to get rich over time. And I feel that one of my competitive advantage over my peers, be they my age, younger, older, is I don't have this desire to get rich quick. I feel that those who are really desperate to get rich quick oftentimes want to live a high lifestyle. That's the reason they want to get rich quick, which will be a drain of capital. And just that desire for that lottery ticket will lead them down a lot of rabbit holes. So I just wanted to start off with that. But what I wanted to do in this video is discuss a company that's interested me recently. I came across it maybe 6 months ago or so, and it's in my wheelhouse. It's called AppHarvest. It's using Dutch greenhouse technology to grow food. But before I get into AppHarvest, I wanted to discuss two other investors that really highlight this idea of the next big thing. So the first one is his name is Curry Grinkmeyer from the Best of Us Investors. And recently, he's been on this sense of the healthcare revolution is the next big thing. And specifically, he likes CRISPR as part of that. And there's a book, I think I have it here somewhere. Looks like Code Breaker by Walter Isaacson. I have it over here. I purchased. Walter Isaacson is an excellent author. I've read his book on Leonardo da Vinci and his book on Benjamin Franklin. He's a great biographer. He did one on Steve Jobs. I haven't read that. But yeah, so this is one. It's called, I'm looking at it now, Code Breaker. And he kind of shows it in his videos as well. So Curry, here, I'll just play a little segment here. This is him here, and we'll go.
And just like with the digital revolution, they many times are profitable when you first recognize the change. That's true today on what I believe is the biggest change that we're ever going to see, and that is the healthcare revolution. So September the 4th, just last week, I did a video on 12 healthcare stocks that will yield 250% return on investment over the next 16 months. And I listed those stocks and shared their names with them, and then shared exactly why I thought they were going to be the Googles, the Amazons, the Apples, the Amazons of the 80s and early 90s. So I shared those with you, and one of my tribe members, and when I say a tribe member, I mean that.
Okay, so we get the sense there that basically he believes that it's the healthcare revolution, and within the healthcare revolution, he's identified stocks, businesses that will be the winners within this revolution. The next Google, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, so on and so forth. And so I'm not saying he's wrong, because he very well may be right, and he very well may be right with his individual picks. But now we're going to shift from the Best of Us Investors to Whitney Tilson. Started his career as a value investor, had a value fund. I actually have a book on value investing in my bedroom as well. And in fact, I'm going to play a clip from Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway annual report. And Whitney is part of the journalists that introduce Buffett or talk, before the show, so to speak. So he's been recently doing a lot of infomercials or ads on what he's calling TaaS. It's transportation as a service. So here's a little video here. And there was another video I saw where someone broke down what he's referencing, and it's a lot of stocks associated with self-driving cars. But I'll let him speak here.
While electric vehicles are disrupting the automotive world, EVs alone won't truly disrupt our society or the entire economy. But when you pair EVs with another disruptive technology, self-driving vehicles controlled by very powerful computers, it will be completely transformative. Sooner than most people think, you'll be able to hail an electric self-driving vehicle via an app on your phone, just like you hail Lyft and Uber today. And this is TaaS, which stands for Transportation as a Service. TaaS will essentially mean a fleet of electric autonomous cars that can go 500 or more miles without charging, which can go more than 100,000 miles a year with little maintenance. It's basically how Uber and Lyft operate today, but with electric driverless vehicles. You'll be able to hail different types of vehicles for whatever you need. A small car for a quick trip, a luxury vehicle for a long ride, a truck if necessary. There will soon be fleets of electric driverless vehicles on our streets, ready to be hailed from your phone at a moment's notice. Estimates are that TaaS will reduce the total cost of transportation by 10 times compared to owning your own vehicle. TaaS could soon drive down our cost of transportation to just 10 cents or less per mile. Today,
so there it is. So you see Curry Grinkmeyer, Best of Us Investors. The next revolution is the healthcare revolution. It's the next big thing. Then you see Whitney Tilson, TaaS, transportation as a service is the next big thing. Maybe they're both the next big thing. I'm not here to dispute them, or this isn't like a hate video on either or. I just wanted to put in perspective, because both of these, and seeing these, and there's other people that will tell you something else is the next big thing, the next sector, the next revolution in the world. But I actually, and I'm going to get into my AppHarvest, which I feel might be the next big thing. So I could be, I'm putting myself in here, and I'll discuss that in a bit. But before I get into my AppHarvest mention here, I wanted to play a minute or so of Warren Buffett basically putting myself, Curry Grinkmeyer, and Whitney Tilson in our place. And his premise is essentially, if you were to go back in time and you were in the teens or early 20s, you could have identified that the car itself was the next big thing. But it's very difficult, nigh impossible sometimes, to choose the winners in the next big thing. You might think a first mover has an advantage. Well, you look at MySpace versus Facebook. So what he did is he wanted to assemble a list of car companies that just began with M. And there were so many to choose from that he had to even narrow it down further and identify car companies that just began with MA. And you'll go through here and you'll see you've never heard of these. Mackle Thompson, Mackimer, Macon, Madison Magic, Mahoning, Malcolm Jones, Walden Steen, Marvel Swift, Marion. He talks about he purchased Marmon, which I get continued on as another entity from the Pritzker family. Prior to this, this is if you want to actually pull up this whole segment, because I'm not going to play the whole segment. It's basically a minute 36, a minute 37 into the Berkshire Hathaway video. So maybe you want to go from a minute 35 to a minute 45 and just kind of see how he introduces it, how he talks about it. And so, yeah, let me play it here.
Yeah, lasted for a while, quite a while. But, it was selling cars in the 1930s were really quite special. But in any event, there were at least 2,000 companies that entered the auto business because it clearly had this incredible future. And of course, you remember that in 2009, there were 3 left, 2 of which went bankrupt. So there is a lot more to picking stocks than figuring out what's going to be a wonderful industry in the future. The Maytag company put out a car, Allstate put out a car, DuPont put out a car. I mean, there was a Nebraska Motor Company. Everybody started car companies, just like everybody's starting something now that can be where you can get money from people. But there were very, very, very few people that picked the winner or got the opportunity for at Ford Motor. Henry Ford had a few partners, and he really didn't like them, so he figured a way to buy them out. That was sort of that was one. It was sort of the beginning of the auto finance. That's a long story, but we won't get into that. But you couldn't buy into Ford Motor, and of course General Motors became the dominant company. Finally, when Henry Ford did not really make the shift from the Model T to the Model A, it did not work very well. So I just want to tell you, it's not as easy as it sounds. And with that, we will go to Becky Quick. And
so there you go. He basically lays out that there were 2,000 car companies started because everyone knew that the car was the next big thing, and big players, so, at that time, DuPont, Maytag, Allstate, some of the bigger entities were involved, and it just didn't work out for a lot of them for whatever reason. And so it's good to keep that in mind when you're listening, to Curry Grinkmeyer about the healthcare revolution, or Whitney Tilson about the transportation as a service revolution, or even about the agricultural AgTech revolution, which is something I'm very much interested in. So that's what I want to transition to now, after Warren Buffett has put me in my place, and Curry and Whitney. So back to AppHarvest. I personally am very much interested in agriculture, gardening, farming. For me, I'm not interested in healthcare personally. I'm not interested in transportation as a service. I'm not like an engineer, a chip maker, or anything like that. I majored in English literature, minored in classical antiquity, art history, very much interested in humanities, very much interested in gardening, farming. The next video I'll probably show my garden here. I have about, maybe 70 to 100 tomato plants going. I'm trying to tell. You can see I'm doing the math in my head. And probably going to have about 100 pepper plants. I'm going to get anywhere from 500 pounds to 1,000 pounds of that. Just something I love to do. I love to build the soil, start it from seed, nurture the plant, and then I usually give them away to friends. It's sort of an extension of what I had in North Carolina at Brahmabella, my 40-acre vineyard farm, which I sold in 2016. But even here in suburbia, I can't get away from the gardening farming bug. I look at videos of, Monty Don, the English gardener, P. Allen Smith, the American garden designers, Frederick Olmsted, Biltmore Central Park. You have the English Capability Brown, Sir William Kent, many others. So it's just a passion of mine, is gardening, farming, agriculture, perhaps from my Italian bloodline, going back to Campania, which the Romans called Campania Felix, essentially happy Campania, because it was such great farmland. Even today, the San Marzano San Marzano tomatoes come from there, the volcanic soils. It's just a very fertile, bountiful, agricultural-based area. A lot of people growing their own basil, parsley, tomatoes, and peppers. And so AppHarvest is a company based in Kentucky that really got into what the Dutch have done. The Dutch are the #2 food producer in the world, and they're a tiny country. How is it they do that? Their greenhouse technology. And so AppHarvest was founded by a guy who was in the solar construction industry, the engineering construction aspect of that, and just did research and got into this with the greenhouses. So let's let's play a short little video here on AppHarvest. AppHarvest actually has Martha Stewart on its board. So I'm going to shrink my screen just a little. And I'm going to play here.
We build big. This rectangle of steel and glass stretches for nearly half a mile. And just as you start to take it all in, you realize that's only the half of it.
When we do something, we put our mind to it, we go massive.
Jonathan Webb used to build solar energy projects for the government.
It's like surfing coming down here.
Now the 35-year-old is running one of the largest indoor farming operations in the world, growing row after row after row of tomatoes. This greenhouse is the size of 58 football fields, so big you can't see where it ends.
Do you think of yourself as a farmer? Yeah, this is farming.
Calling it AppHarvest isn't just clever tech talk. It's located in Appalachia, just outside Moorhead, Kentucky.
Everybody watch out for Central Appalachia. We're absolutely going to be one of the largest fruit and vegetable suppliers of the U.S. in the decades to come.
Climate change is not only altering our weather patterns, but it's changing where and how.
So there you go. So just a brief introduction on it. And then, they'll get into thinking about, with climate change, with water shortages in Mexico and California, a lot of produce is grown in the Southwest and California, shipped in from Mexico. He's essentially saying, let's grow it here. Moorhead, Kentucky is about a 1 day's drive from 70% of America, and they're growing more. Maybe they'll expand a little bit to the east, to the west, where they can do 100% of America. They have Martha Stewart on the board. They have, I think, the gentleman from Impossible Foods on the board. So they have some heavy hitters, great funding, great background. I had come across it before and forgotten about it and just checked it recently. It looks like and sort of what the point that Curry made in the beginning with companies like this, and people would criticize Tesla, the cash burn of Tesla, or they're not turning a profit. When you're dealing with these startup companies, there may be many, many years where they're going without a profit, without net profit. They're getting going. They have a deal with Mastronardi Produce for their distribution. So they're going to be in the biggest grocers. But you can see that when they cut their guidance, I think they were going to do from 20 to 30 million revenue. I think they cut it to 7 to 9 million. You can see the stock was here, 35. It's just going down here. It is 549. I actually picked up yesterday. I picked up about $450 at 550. So we're kind of right where it is today. And I'm actually going to do an option play. I'm probably going to sell a $5 strike price put, collect the premium, use the premium to buy more shares, but I'll probably take a few $1,000 position in it. And it's just something, again, that fascinates me. If you view food as a commodity, as you would look at oil and gas, that the world population is 7 billion now. It's going to go to 9 to 10 billion by 2050. So there's going to be a huge demand for food, simple supply and demand. The areas where food is grown now is going to be less ideal to growing food, but the demand is going to go up. So how are you going to fill the supply? And so it could be a company like AppHarvest. I hope it's AppHarvest. Like I said, it's just, when you go back to the idea of Buffett, it's very hard to choose winners in sort of the next big thing. But they've done a lot of good things. They've also, you can see Root AI. They've picked up a company that developed, it's a robotics company that develops like these little claws that pick the tomatoes. They go in like this, twists. It can identify on the color how ripe it is. It picks the tomatoes. Their labor costs will come down in the future. And yeah, it's just something, it's just in my wheelhouse. You talk about circle of competence or interest in investing, very much interested in this idea. Did a lot of, watched a lot of videos on the Dutch greenhouses. There's a couple different companies that specialize in it. Dalsum is the company they used for the engineering. Kubo is another one that's out there. And, this is just a short little video on the Dutch, the Netherlands.
Holland is pretty crowded. Our land is quite expensive. Labor is expensive. So we have to be as efficient as possible. We have to be more efficient than others to compete. And that competition drives innovation and technology.
We decided to go for not more hectares, but for more yield per hectare. And that's the...
So there you go. You can see the Dutch are leaders in this field, which is why AppHarvest worked with Dalsem and some of the other technologies they've developed. But it's just fascinating to me that they are the #2 food exporter in the world, and they're a very small country. It just goes to show you when you're able to enhance yields and able to master logistics, you know, the harvesting, the packing, the shipping, the detail of that. And you know, there's some other players actually in Montreal. There is a farm on a rooftop called Lupa Farms. Just play a little bit of this. Let me see here.
Engine, so a new, resource for people to get food directly from producers, with as little intermediary as possible. That means the quality is better, it's fresher, and it's grown sustainably. So the way we're doing things is following these tenets of responsible agriculture, and that's how all the partner farms that we work with, it's the same idea. So the pitch is really, it has so many benefits. There's energy savings for the building. There's the visibility, obviously.
So there it is. I want to pause it there and just kind of, look at that. So you see a building in Montreal with this farm on the top of it. That's just fascinating to me that you're able to build it on existing structures and you kind of build upwards. Imagine the future of these cities with farms like this sprinkled throughout, with these glass structures, with the lighting, and then you get the logistics. The logistics on this is so key. Your trucks are refrigerated, and so you're able to get to certain distribution centers and within a half day or day. And so, it's is someone like Amazon going to come in and blow AppHarvest away and just throw money at it, or is Amazon going to, or Google or Microsoft going to buy AppHarvest in the future? We'll see. But it's just, again, it interests me. It interests me as a gardener, a farmer, someone who loves growing things. And so maybe, Curry Grinkmeyer is saying that it's the healthcare revolution is going to be the next big thing. Whitney Tilson is saying that it's transportation as a service is the next big thing. I'm very much interested in AgTech as the next big thing. And maybe all three will be the next big thing. You're going to have CRISPR for gene editing. You're going to have, Google's Waymo for transportation as a service, combined with Uber and Lyft, perhaps. You're going to have AppHarvest in this space. But just don't forget Warren Buffett's warning there to all three of us, which is it's one thing to identify a sector. It's another thing to identify a long-term winner. With that said, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little long, but I wanted to go through a lot of different topics. Take care. Appreciate it. Ciao.